This is the Water Quality Association podcast, promoting the betterment of water quality around the world. And hello, I'm your host, Wes Bleed.
I think from the day I was born, I wanted to be in the business. I really never wanted anything else. I was born in the business, and so that kind of did it for me.
Derek, similar feelings on your part, similar experiences getting involved at an early age?
Yeah, I had a little bit different journey. I was not born wanting to be in the business. I got involved in my mid-20s.
That's John and Derek Packard of Packard Culligan, reflecting on their path in the water treatment industry. And welcome to the weekly podcast of the Water Quality Association, the leading voice of the residential, commercial, and industrial water treatment community. You can find us at WQA.org. If you're a first-time listener or viewer, we're glad you're here. Be sure to like and subscribe to the podcast so you never miss a show. That's the magic of podcasting. And be sure to share the podcast with someone you know. We also feature our podcasts on YouTube. Go to youtube.com/@WaterQualityAssociation videos. In this podcast, we feature another of our interviews with legacy members of the Water Quality Association. We're joined by John Packard, Chair of Packard Culligan, past WQA President, 1999 Key Award recipient, and 2003 WQA Hall of Fame honoree, along with son Derek Packard, President and CEO of Packard Culligan, a recipient of WQA's Next Gen Award in 2023. We talk about the family business, leadership and employee relations, community engagement, innovation, and the value of WQA. Later, I'll have our WQA tip. It's all coming up on the Water Quality Association podcast. It is so good to be talking to the Packards today. We have John and Derek with us on the podcast as we explore the rich history of the Packard legacy, their approach to leading a multi-generational business, and the importance of giving back to their community that they serve. And boy, John and Derek, great to have you on the program. It's always good to talk to you, of course, in person at conventions or mid-year leadership conference, but to do it on a podcast is always great as well. So welcome. We appreciate your joining us.
Thank you.
Thanks for the invite, Wes.
Hey, John, let's start with you and how you began working in the industry. I know your dad started the company many, many years ago. He is a member of the WQA Hall of Fame, as are you. And so, again, this rich history is just phenomenal to think about. And now you have, 32 different dealerships across the country. But you got involved as a teenager, I understand it. How did those early experiences shape your leadership style and just how you wanted to approach managing the company?
Well, it did shape my career. Being involved as a teenager, obviously I was, in the field doing service, doing delivery with other employees. And, I ran the gamut of jobs, that were, appropriate for a teenager, shall we say. What it really gave me, Wes, was an appreciation for how hard our employees worked. It gave me a very good insight into what made a, call it average employee, what made a good employee, and what made a great employee. And that foundation has lived with me, and I've probably, driven Derek crazy with that, but that really did help me. And my dad didn't lecture me much. He let me work, And I worked with all kinds of employees. It wasn't pick and choose. And that foundation was invaluable. It probably was too much, to be honest with you, in today's world, but I really enjoyed it. And I developed, what I wanted to do eventually. Because I think from the day I was born, I wanted to be in the business. I really never wanted anything else. I was born in the business, and so that kind of did it for me.
Derek, similar feelings on your part, similar experiences getting involved at an early age?
Yeah, I had a little bit different journey. I was not born wanting to be in the business. I got involved in my mid-20s with things, but I'd always been around Culligan, obviously, and knew some of the people and knew the aim of what was going on. I think, getting involved, just seeing how important the employees are, and the people doing all the work, and the people you're surrounding yourself with as leaders really makes the company tick and moves the chains on what you're trying to do, and that has not changed from the day I walked in to the present.
And Derek, you also have the kind of multifaceted goal of honoring the family legacy while you're also bringing your own vision, and you're moving the company forward. How are you balancing all of that?
Well, I'm doing my best, and it's a tough job. It's a dream job, really, a dream opportunity to be able to do this, but certainly, leading first and foremost Packard Culligan, while also, being a leader within the Culligan system, within Water Quality Association, within, state organizations and things, is important as well. And, there's a reason why I think, my grandpa, my dad got established in that. And I think, my opportunity is continuing that and putting the right people in place with the right expectations and structure to continue to grow the company and grow our customer base and impact more people positively through water. So
that's a great goal. And, John, I want to go back to you. And, well, both of you have stressed the importance of your employees. And I think we can all agree that the employee today is more sophisticated and, more aware of water quality issues and water treatment options. But the whole idea of a work ethic has never changed, I would imagine. And so, John, what makes that great employee that you were talking about versus the satisfactory or the average employee? What are you looking for, and how do you develop them? And how do you create that culture that improves the chances that some of these employees will grow into great employees?
Well, it was kind of interesting. I think the most impactful thing, I had a consultant help me, as I got in the business. My dad put him on to me, and he was a gruff guy, but he kind of got me one day, and not many people know this, but I liked the guy, but he was direct. And one day he said, "John, do you think these employees like you?" And rightly or wrongly, I said, "Well, yeah, I think they probably do." And he said, "No, they hate your guts." And that shocked me. I'll never forget it. And I don't think he was necessarily right, but he said, you own the whole business. They don't get anything out of it. And they're just working for, an hourly wage at the time. Most of them were. And that started me on a bonus for all employees routine. And I remember my dad wasn't real thrilled with it, but I started very small bonuses based on the performance of the dealership or dealerships. And that became, something that the employees, I believe, really appreciated. And it got to be a fairly significant amount for each employee. And that kind of, whether that story was accurate or not, made no difference. It shocked me enough. And I thought, well, I'm going to do something about it. So that was one of my early memories of trying to build a culture around appreciating what's going on.
What do you think, Derek, in terms of that idea of valuing the employee and providing an opportunity with an incentive? Is that continuing to be the way you're looking at growing your employees and growing the level of customer service?
Yeah, we still provide an incentive to employees to certainly hope they exhibit the right behaviors in that. We've also shifted more towards, recognizing and rewarding based on our company core values, which are caring about relationships, being accountable, and being open-minded. And we really moved those from, say, page 2 of the employee handbook to something that's in front of everyone every day to, like I said, recognizing, rewarding, both in praise and both financially based on who's displaying the right behaviors and building that culture that we want, amongst each other, but with our customers as well. And I think there's, over time, there's been more buy-in, to the how we get things done to get the result, which has been kind of a fun journey for us to go on. Certainly people too, the expectation of more opportunity, to grow in their role, to do more. We want to be a good fit for that person, and we're not looking to be a sleepy shop or be complacent. We want to grow. We want to expand what we're doing and to attract the right candidates with the right mindset to work here. They'll be happier.
Yeah, I like that description, a fun journey, giving opportunity, expansion opportunities and so forth. Opportunities to grow. And the industry itself continues to evolve and continues to change. And it's done that since John, I would imagine you've gotten involved. So how has the company adapted and kept up with the change? How about that?
Well, change has happened. I mean, it's pretty different today from when I started or when I got in a business, for sure. And how have we changed? I mean, we've just, fundamentally tried to listen to the customers and listen to what they want. Our brand made some changes we had to get behind. And, for instance, when I started, it was basically a soft water market.
Okay.
And today it's very split, very varied between drinking water side and the softening filtration side. As consumers have wanted more and more quality water, we've had to adapt. And that's fundamentally what happened. It's more the consumer driving the change, I think, for me, than me driving a change that I wanted, for sure. It's adapting to the market in a way that you can survive, fundamentally.
Derek, how about you, especially as you look ahead and the need for innovation these days and modernization and all of that must be in your outlook as you forecast strategic plans for later on this decade and beyond that?
Certainly. I mean, I think the basic, tenets of customer service have not changed over time. If they have, it's the customer is expecting much more. And the tools we have to deliver that we choose to either use and adopt that or not. And we're choosing to definitely try and leverage technology as much as possible, to meet their needs, to better organize ourselves, I think, and really hopefully kind of define or be the change that is impacting the industry, doing it ourselves, reaching more customers in more ways with their water concerns, beyond softening into areas we've never been before, quite frankly, with the change and the awareness that's growing out there. So really week to week, month to month, just having that willingness to keep our eyes open and figure out ways to better utilize, I think, primarily technology, but people in different roles as well.
Yeah. Derek, let me stay with you, especially from the standpoint of the employees and the changes that you're seeing in trying to create that culture that I can imagine a number of members, especially dealers listening to this, watching this, are very aware of. And that is, how do you balance work-life needs, making sure that families are cared for and prioritized, and all of that goes into that. Maybe a little more so, I would think, in terms of the general society value that the society places on things than perhaps, a few generations ago. So how are you approaching that?
Yeah, there's certainly been a massive shift, from an older generation into now with how that's viewed. And I remember when I first started in the business, I was in a break room with a bunch of older, service techs, and they were bragging about not using PTO, and they'd amassed such balances, and they never took time off, and they were taking pride in that. And I always think about that now, and just how much that has swung to the other direction, where people, can't get enough. There's more doors have been opened to travel, to have visibility to the world, and family is valued, and COVID brought about sort of an independence too as well, from the workplace. So we need to balance that, and I think be aware that of when employees are burned out or working too much, and be watching that, caring about that, where that's a risk probably for many people who simply can do a good job but don't want to work more than 40 hours in a week or do that, and really structuring jobs, I think, so that they are manageable and not overwhelming, and that they're not, they can come here, do a good job, satisfy customers, and not sacrifice their home or family life, which is most important at the end of the day.
Excellent. We are approaching the holidays as we record this in November of 2024. And I know that, John, you have the Culligan Cares campaign. You've been supporting local charities. Tell us about that, what inspired the initiative, and how has that affected the company culture?
Well, frankly, my dad was involved in, mostly United Way. And when I came along, I realized that employees that cared about the community we were in made much better employees. And I wanted to do something to enhance that. And so what we did is we allow each dealership, now we've got like 34 of them, to pick their own local charities that that they'll support. And so what we do as a company is we allow them to pick a charity and support it in whatever way possible. And the company, Derek and I and the family, will match the amount. And that got the employees more into that. And it's created a nice culture. Now, some employees don't have the funds, So if they work for the charity, we will pay them, I believe, Derek, mark me if I'm wrong here, something like $25 an hour to do work for the charity. We will pay that charity that money. And it's gotten, it took a while to get rolling, but we're going through it right now, right as we talk. We have our annual auction and everything. And it's been a nice addition to the company, one that I think employees look forward to. And, they bid on various things like, trying to get Derek to wear a wig or me to wear a dress and things like that to raise a little money. And it's been helpful to create a friendly atmosphere and a giving atmosphere.
Derek, did you bring that wig with so we can see it?
Yeah, I actually think it's a pie in the face for both of us.
Is it?
Or multiple. So
I can't keep up.
I can imagine, Derek, that is a culture building kind of thing. Maybe that's not where it started. Maybe your heart was actually, in terms of giving, but I can imagine that being a very productive thing.
Yeah. And this started, long before me, but it's actually this week and next week is our main push. So we've got cook-offs, we've got live auctions, we have lots of different things, and some of our money goes to 3 main charities, or the bulk of it, but there's also 32 dealerships, pick something local to them to impact and get behind that. So, we do a nice mix there with who we impact and where.
Very good. Let's move on a little bit to the idea, John, of working with and building relationships with some of your industry competitors through the Water Quality Association or some other associations that you might be part of. How have those connections benefited you and the company over the years?
Well, I've got to give credit really to my father for that, because in growing up, some of his closest friends were competitors. So I was in an environment of, hey, these guys are great guys and families, and their wives would come over and my dad would socialize. So when I got in the business, I thought everybody did it. I found that was not necessarily true. And I had to talk some friends of mine into joining the Water Quality because they just did not want to rub elbows with competitors. But it's a wonderful industry, and there's wonderful people in it. I have just got some great relationships I've built over the years, many with very good competitors, and I've enjoyed that a lot. My wife enjoys it. I think it's the way to be. I mean, I'll be competitive in the market, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to respect and socialize with another great businessman. And there's plenty of them in WQA to have that relationship with. So that's kind of my background. It's benefited me because, frankly, I've bought a few of them out. And they got to know me and I got to know them, and we trusted one another, and voila, when they were ready to get out, we had a little dinner meeting and things worked out nicely.
Derek, how about you? Because I know you're involved in several committees, and you've been in the, I believe, the RISE program as well. So what's your experience been like?
It's been great. I'm newer and, kind of becoming more involved, I would say, with every year. And, as far as the competition, putting our differences aside, that maybe how we would clash within the market, and, putting our minds together to protect the industry as a whole, what we're trying to do, our legitimacy, our right to impact through water, primarily what we're doing is powerful. And, having a greater awareness of the issues that we face, as an industry, but the opportunity as well. Much better to tackle that as a team than kind of everyone for themselves. So it's exciting. It has value.
And one final thought, John. I understand you are a sailor. You do a lot of sailing. I'm wondering if there are any metaphors or analogies that you can draw from sailing and applying to leadership and business as well.
I love sailing. I'm involved in it. I take vacations. I lease sailboats around the world. And, it's wonderful, but it's basically a pleasure. And I don't know, to be honest with you, Wes, if I take much away from sailing and apply it to the business other than, that's my time off. And that's my work-life balance. And, hopefully in business, but definitely in sailing, Derek is the better sailor than from the two of us, which I'm thrilled with. But, sorry to disappoint you on any business things I take away from sailing.
Well, how about this? You can't determine the direction or the amount of wind, but you can figure out how to respond to it, right? By setting the sail and determining what your response is going to be.
Well, that's true. There's strategy to sailing, which is the very fun part of racing. Not so much pleasure sailing, but, the strategy, you got to pay attention to a whole bunch of things, and you have to have a decent crew. And so there are lessons. I shouldn't, say there aren't. I just don't think of the two together because, it is my work-life balance.
Wes, every day here is like a sailboat race for me. Two very simple principles, competitive when you're behind, get leverage. When you're ahead, prevent leverage. And the wind is always in front of you. You got to be looking ahead no matter what, to what's coming down the water versus, what's in the rear view at that point. So
I told you he's a better sailor.
And you have to know when to not venture out when the skies are threatening, right?
Absolutely.
Sometimes it's better not to be on the water.
Yeah.
Well, all right, guys, this has been great. Thank you again for everything that you have meant to the industry. I know there have been a lot of friends and colleagues, let's put it that way, who have benefited from your time and experience and volunteering on these various committees and whatnot over the years. So we can look to you and say, that's the kind of example we'd all like to follow. We appreciate that.
Thank you, Wes.
Thanks, Wes.
Thanks for joining us. Our WQA tip. The WQA Convention and Expo for 2025 is right around the corner. The convention takes place April 22nd through the 24th in Long Beach, California. The theme is Innovate, Break Boundaries. WQA Convention and Expo is the most comprehensive annual gathering of water treatment professionals in North America, with 200 exhibitors, 2,500 plus attendees, and 50 plus hours of education. Go to convention.wqa.org to learn more. Thanks for joining us for the Water Quality Association podcast, bringing you the latest news and insights from the association, our members, and outside experts to help you better serve your customers and grow your business. Learn more about water and water treatment at our consumer website, betterwatertoday.org, and learn more about professional certification, product certification, and how you can become a WQA member at WQA.org. Until next time, this is Wes Bleed. So long from the Water Quality Association.